Today I'm going to talk about all the books that have been of benefit to me on my spiritual path. There of course have been way more than these, but this is all that I have with me now. And some of them aren't the best, but they were of benefit to me in some way at the time, even if I would not pick them up right now and read them. So maybe they will be of benefit to you as well. I have here 7 books, and I'm going to start off with the first one that I purchased 3 years ago. Eckhart Tolle is very well known within the spiritual community. He has written a number of books. This one is A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And The Power of Now is also very popular of his. But this particular book talks a lot about the pain body and ego, illusory structures such as time, and also meditation, just really getting to know yourself through these different terms and realizing that there's more to life that you have been taught by societal institutions, maybe even your parents. There's the world of spirit, where everything is infinite, and in this particular book he talks about awakening to your life's purpose, so it's getting rid of everything in the way that prevents you from being able to see that. But this was the first book I read at the onset of my spiritual path, and I would say it was definitely a good read. It opened my mind to concepts I had never before been introduced to, and that was a beneficial experience. So thank you, Eckhart Tolle. Next, The Buddha Walks into the Bar, A Guide to Life for a New Generation, written by Lodro Rensler. And yes, there is alcohol on the front, and yes, he does talk about how to drink meditatively, but he also talks about many other things. He talks about how to live a compassionate life while still living a 9-to-5 job and without liking your coworkers at the same time. So he talks about how to be aware and practice compassion no matter what you're doing, so that you're still remaining in the Buddha mind, the concept of Buddha nature, no matter what type of life you're living. And this basically introduced me to the ways of Buddhism. There were another few books I was reading at the time, but this one allowed me to really apply the concepts to my own life because I'm not an ascetic monk. But reading this really allowed me to apply the concepts of Buddhism to my own life so that I could better understand them in a personal nature. Not a bad read. It's very simple, easy, and relatable. Another Buddhist read is The Buddha Himself, Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. A shimmering, iridescent tale of spiritual quest, as written on the back. It's about the life of the Buddha, him awakening to himself after a life of living a regular life, and about his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. And it's just written like a story, so it's like a novel, and it's a quite pleasant read. It also talks about ego, samsara, nirvana, Buddhist terms such as that. But it's entertaining as well as religious and informing. On to Hinduism, Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. This is just about his life. It's quite lengthy, and there's a wealth of knowledge within this book. Throughout his life, he met many gurus, and he had many experiences with intelligent and spiritual people. He talks about his guru and gives information about the astral plane and metaphysical properties of different elements within this own reality. So it's very mind-opening and a life-changing book, I would say. My favorite book. Next is the famous Aldous Huxley. This includes The Doors of Perception as well as Heaven and Hell, two separate writings put together. He talks about his experience on the drug mescaline, how he reacted to it, and how it affected his perception and his reality, both during and after the trip. So it's insightful and imaginative and creative in that first part, The Doors of Perception. And then Heaven and Hell is more practical and relates to more scientific and realistic relative terms. I would say this is a scientific and personal perspective to the idea of perception and how the mind affects your reality. Getting into metaphysics here, this is The Wheels of Light, which explores the 7 chakras of the body with particular focus on the first chakra, and it draws on scientific research from Native American culture, the ancient traditions of the Egyptians and Greeks, the philosophies of the Hindus, and the religions of the East. So there's a lot going on in here. It talks about chakras, auras, and the healing energy of the body, and it is very lengthy, and since there are so many different topics that are being covered from many different traditions, it's not entirely in-depth, but it gives you enough information in case you want to look even further into a particular one, or just so you have a general idea of how they're all related. Very good for learning just about the energy body in general, chakras, auras, and introducing you to different parts of yourself, as well as including a nice chunk of history and culture to back it all up. Shaman, Healer, Sage is last, by Albert Villoldo, and he immersed himself within a shamanistic community and a Native American culture in order to learn more about it so that he could relate this work from a personal standpoint. In this book you will find information about the chakras. You will find information about different animal symbols related to Native American teachings, symbols of the different directions in relation to the medicine wheel. So it's very Native American oriented and the shaman's place within the Native American tradition. It also tells you how to heal yourself with energy healing similar to Reiki. This is a great read if you're interested in shamanism or Native American traditions, or just looking for a different perspective on energy healing. So thank you for watching. I hope at least one of these books spoke to you. Maybe you want to learn more about energy or Buddhism, or just how to look at your life differently, how to look at life in general differently. Maybe you've read some of these books before and you have certain perspectives you'd like to share. If you wish to do so in the comments, I would love to read about it and see how these books have impacted you, or if you have more questions about any of these books, or maybe if you have recommendations for other books that have inspired or benefited your life, then I would love to hear about it. Namaste.